it may be the best mid-major game around the country this week. It is NM State 2-0 and St. Mary's 2-0. Two really good mid-majors battling on top of Lou Henson Court tonight. Great to have you with us, along with former NM State assistant Russ Bradford, Adam Young on hand. The head coach of the Aggies is a good one, Coach Bradford. Chris Giants, 28 wins last year. High expectations again this year.
Boy, he can really coach. They're tough, and he's hard-nosed, defensive-oriented, very intense.
Coach Giants had his contract restructured in July. It keeps him through the 2021-2022 campaign. His starters for this one looks like this. A little different from last Friday against UTEP. A.J. Harris, JoJo Zamora, Clayton Henry, C.J. Bobbitt, and Eli Chua. Bobbitt did not start against UTEP. He scored 13 off the bench. A.J. Harris off to a little bit of a slow start offensively, only averaging 6.5 per game. JoJo Zamora averaging 11, and so far this year, Clayton Henry is averaging 11 as well. For St. Mary's, they are paced by Jordan Ford, a junior guard who has been explosive so far this year. He's averaging 29 per game. Look out for Tanner Krebs, a sharpshooter from Australia. He's pouring in 10.5 per game. Jordan Hunter is averaging 7.5 and 6. And Malik Fitz is a star transfer from South Florida. And on the other bench, it is Randy Bennett, who is in his 18th season at St. Mary's, the school's all-time wins leader. Signed a 10-year extension last November. He inherited a 2-27 program when he arrived in 2001, and he has done phenomenal things in Moraga.
He may be the most underrated coach in the country, and he's done it all at one school, which is unusual. He's an old-style coach, and we'll talk more about him as the evening goes on, but he's done it all at one single school, and he has had remarkable success.
St. Mary's averaging 29 wins per season in the previous 3. All right, Coach Bradford, your keys to the game.
Well, let's see what we'll do it in order here. I think they've got to find the St. Mary's three-point shooters, of course, particularly Jordan Ford, who can really shoot the ball. I think, although this is a faster St. Mary's team than in the past, I think the Aggies need to rabbit the pace, really pick up the pressure, try and make it more of a run-and-shoot game. And I think they need to go to Chua early just to establish the inside game, because this is a very big St. Mary's team and a very good defensive team.
And these two teams did meet last year. It was a game in Moraga. St. Mary's won that 192-74 last year. But with these two teams, they probably don't know each other very well from last year because they both missed so much. They graduated a ton of players. NM State no longer has Jamario Jones and Zach Lofton. And for St. Mary's, they no longer have Jock Landale, an All-American last year.
That's right. It's a lot of new faces for St. Mary's, but they're guys who've been around for a long time, if that makes sense. It's an older team, although it's not a highly experienced team.
NM State sporting the new home white jerseys. This is the first time this year they have worn them. They wore the alternates in their first game of the season, wore special uniforms for the game against UTEP on Friday. And these are their brand new home Under Armour uniforms. Look at Sharp. Gaels in the road navy blue. Both teams 2-0. Both teams had lopsided wins in their first two games. St. Mary's beat McNeese State and Utah Valley. The Aggies beating North Dakota State and UTEP. And we are underway here at the Pan Am Center. This is JoJo Zamora, the Utah transfer. Misses, put back no good for Eli Chua, but he'll shoot 2.
Well, that wasn't exactly what I had in mind about going inside for Chua, but I do think it's important for Chua to establish his presence early. In my mind, he's the most experienced of the New Mexico State big men, and I think if they're going to have a good game tonight, Chua will have to be effective.
Chua's only attempted 1 free throw so far this year. He made it. He was 59% a season ago. And this has been an issue for the Aggies for the last year plus, is free throw shooting. They only shot 64% as a team last year, 63% in the first 2+ games this year. Chua gets 1 of 2. This Gaels offense averaging almost 90 points per game. Watch out for number 3 in navy blue. This is Jordan Ford, who's averaging 29 per game. He's checked by Harris defensively. Elijah Thomas in the key. And his turnaround is good, but if you're the Aggies coach, you probably want somebody other than Ford to beat you tonight if you're going to get beat.
Well, I think that's right. What makes St. Mary's so difficult to guard, though, is they're really versatile. They can shoot threes or post up inside, as we just saw Elijah Thomas do.
Ball screen from Chua, picks and pops a three from Eli. Rims out, no good. Cleared away by Tanner Krebs for St. Mary's. Ford shooting a very high percentage so far this year, 65% for the field. Because of shots like that, it's 4-1 St. Mary's. He's a really good one. Only averaged 11 a game last year, but finished really strong to the season. And he's off to a phenomenal start this year. He's guarding Harris on that three, and AJ misses. Chua sticks it back in. Chua has all three for the Aggies. St. Mary's led the country in field goal percentage last year, 52%. They're already shooting 56% this year. Step back three, clean look for Ford. Rebound in the hands of JoJo Zamora. The Aggies with numbers. Here's Henry. It'll wisely pull it out to the arc.
He had a great game against UTEP a few days ago, didn't he, Adam? Clayton Henry.
He scored 14 and half one against UTEP. He made 4 threes. Now he throws it away in the hands of Jordan Hunter for St. Mary's. Here's Ford again. Acrobatic layup is no good, but he's bailed out by A.J. Harris and Christians.
What's an indication of
how like the call?
Yeah, it's an indication of how quick Jordan Ford is A.J. Harris is really quick, and there's Chua around the basket. He's so crafty and smart around the hoop.
You hate to compare Jordan Ford to somebody like Steph Curry, but in watching him play, he has some Steph Curry tendencies in his game.
Well, it's got to be very popular.
It does. Yeah, you mentioned that earlier today off the air, that's kind of the new thing for youngsters.
I think kids, Curry's a fun player to watch, and he's a fun player to imitate. There's Randy Bennett.
Ford now 15 of 16 this year on free throws. St. Mary's ahead by 3. In the first 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Aggies off to a good start this year offensively, averaging 84.5 per game. We have 4 players averaging in double figures, including Zamora. Long two for JoJo, and he connects.
But I think that's what makes him so good, is he can just score in a lot of different ways. And as I said before the game, occasionally it seems like he's off balance, but he seems to have a great knack, even when he's off balance, to score.
Here's Tanner Krebs. Good high hedge there for Chua. Malik Fitz can shoot it. He'll dump it off in the corner for Thomas. Loose rebound there for A.J. Harris. Zamora from the wing. Popping out is Bobbitt, who shot it very well on Friday against UTEP. Harris around the high hedge, using his right offhand to finish, and the Aggies have a lead.
He has an excellent right hand. Remember the last game we televised it in the win against North Dakota State, he was using his right hand very effectively.
But he's only averaging 6.5 points per game so far this year, Coach, which is low for him, but that's because the Aggies have so much balance, especially off the bench.
Yeah, it wouldn't concern me. I think he's the best of the guards defensively, and he's the most experienced guard.
Under 10 to shoot for Fitz, the South Florida transfer. Has it poked by Bobbitt. 3 to shoot for Fitz. And Bobbitt's there for the strong side rebound. Good D by C.J. Bobbitt. Blocking foul on St. Mary's as JoJo Zamora was making his way to the rim. We'll see if this one is a shooting foul or if it's on the ground when we come back. Good start for the Aggies. They lead by 1. Mid-major battle, NM State and St. Mary's from Lou Henson Court here tonight. There's a look inside the Aggie huddle with head coach Chris Jans in his second year, the WAC Coach of the Year last season. NM State ahead 7-6 against St. Mary's in a key early season mid-major battle. Both teams undefeated. The Aggies picking up lopsided wins against North Dakota State and UTEP. And St. Mary's picking up wins against Utah Valley and McNeese State. Convincing wins for them as well. And how about these offensive numbers so far this year, Coach? St. Mary's shooting 56% for the field, which they're used to shooting over 50%.
Well, that's right. And some of it is they just have good shooters, but it's also a credit to their offense. They're very selective. They execute, and that's as much of it as recruiting good shooters.
Yeah, these are typical numbers for a Randy Bennett coached St. Mary's program.
Well, and that's right. It'll be typical numbers if he wins 29 or 30 games again. He seems to do it year after year after year. It's really remarkable. And he's hung around. He's not out interviewing and chasing every job. He's happy in Moraga, and who can blame him?
The Aggies brought in Terrell Brown, Ivan Aure-Coechea, and also Sean Buchanan during the timeout. And Aure-Coechea finishes for 2. He's averaging 10 per game so far in his first year with the Aggies. Lead grows to 3 for Chris Jantz's team. Now it's Buchanan guarding the star guard Ford, who's averaging 29 per game. Here's Ford. That's a tough shot. Good D by Sean Buchanan. Here's Ivan Aure-Coechea. Can't finish. Had a good look.
Well, he won't miss many of those. He's tough around the basket. That was a surprise. I think he was surprised at how open he was.
The ball is in the hands of Ford a ton in this Gaels offense. Low post here is Jock Perry with his left hand, using his 7-1 length to finish.
Well, that's the first time all year we've seen Big Ivan from Spain give up ground like that. That's a real rarity, and he may have his work cut out for him with a 7'1" Jock Perry.
St. Mary's is big. They're without Aaron Menzies tonight, who is a 7'3" transfer from Seattle, who the Aggies know very well from WAC play last year. Still very big without Menzies. That shot was blocked. And we get a foul down low away from the ball. This is going to go on Perry. There's a tussle down there between Perry and Aure-Coechea. Aure-Coechea from Spain and Perry from Australia.
In fact, St. Mary's has, I'm counting 10 foreign players on the St. Mary's team, and they've made their mark with Australians. Of course, there's Patty Mills, who's on the San Antonio Spurs, and Matt Dellavedova, who's on the Bucks now, I think, but who had been part of LeBron's team at Cleveland.
Jabari Rice in for the first time today, has the ball in his hands. Right back to Aure-Coechea. This time he scores over the much smaller Fitz.
That's what I mean about his, he knows how to battle for ground, and he understands that it's not just a horizontal battle.
Well, Terrell Brown thought he had all ball in this one. But Tommy Nunez, a very good official, is right there.
Yeah, he's a veteran. He's Tommy Nunez. We'll give him in fact, it's a really experienced crew here tonight.
Kevin Brill, Mike Cyphers, and Tommy Nunez are 3 officials for this really good mid-major battle. Ford on the exchange with 10 to shoot. Now it's Malik Fitz, the transfer from South Florida. Ford to shoot for Fitz, and he finishes with a running right-hander. Terrell Brown down the lane, strong move, and he's going to shoot 2 after getting fouled down low.
And of course, Terrell Brown is from Northern California, so he might know some of these St. Mary's guys. Pretty good body control by Terrell Brown.
Foul is on Krebs. That's number 2 on Tanner Krebs. So he's probably going to take a seat after this first free throw from Brown. Terrell Brown's been a nice surprise so far this year for the Aggies in his first year after transferring in from the City College of San Francisco. Krebs will take a seat, and Tommy Kuzi comes in for Krebs. It's a nice basketball name, isn't it?
It's a lot of pressure to live up to, but he spells it different than Bob Cousy did.
NM State, by the way, out rebounding St. Mary's 7-2 so far, and that could be a big difference in this game. NM State plus 14 in rebound margin this year. They were plus 9 in rebound margin a year ago. Ford has to pick up his dribble, floats it out for Kuzi. Kuzi only has 7 points for the year in 2 games, and he can't finish. Aure Coachea wipes it off the board. Lead handoff to JoJo Zamora. The Aggies love to run the pick and roll in the motion. Brown down the key again. Aure Coachea with the offensive board and the finish for rebound.
Boy, he's tough. I walked past him on campus today, and he was chattering away in Spanish, probably back to friends back home. It's such a delight to have him here on campus. And boy, does he work hard.
Big screen from Toss to get Ford free. Offensive rebound for Matthias Toss. Where they call it for over the pass.
Well, Sean Buchanan certainly, he was literally in over his head here. As we see Coachea, just relentless worker under the basket. I mean, he's a tough combination. He's really smart and really aggressive. He just knows how to play.
He's a double-double waiting to happen. Averaged a double-double last year at the JUCO level at Indian Hills. Right spot early this year for head coach Chris Jans. The Aggies trying to build on their 15-10 advantage. Shooting 50% early. Jabari Rice hands it off to JoJo Zamora. Right back to Rice, the redshirt freshman. Low post entry to the redshirt senior Chua. Shallow with his jumper. Snared in by Fitz for St. Mary's. Here's Elijah Thomas. Short corner for Fitz. Tough matchup for Jabari Rice. Mini hook. And Fitz puts it in for 2.
Right there for Jabari Rice is an advertisement as why he's going to be a great player in a few years. If he gets stronger, he's going to be a great player. He just got sort of bounced around there. He's a little bit too light.
Zamora with the teardrop. That's short. Rice grabs the offensive rebound. And he's going to shoot 2 when we come back from break. As usual, Chris Jans playing a lot of guys going deep into his bench. The Aggie bench averaging 42 points per game this year. Aure Coachea playing well. The Aggies lead by 3. Student section outstanding again tonight at the Pan Am Center. NM State has made the NCAA tournament in 6 of the previous 7 years. The Gaels have made the postseason in 11 straight years, and this is quite the matchup, and this would be quite the win if the Aggies can find a way to get it here tonight at home. Now, St. Mary's plays in the very tough West Coast Conference along with Gonzaga and BYU, so it's always a challenge, Coach, to win their conference tournaments, but it seems like every year if they don't win their conference tournament, there's always a discussion on whether or not St. Mary's should get in with an at-large.
Well, they seem to be the American team that gets snubbed the most in the NCAA tournament. In my estimation, they should have been in the last 10 in a row. And they're sort of an advertisement as to why the mid-major level is so important and so good. Is that there is a lot of talk about there's 6 or 7 teams going from one conference and then one team going from another conference, and that doesn't seem fair. But St. Mary's is really a remarkable. They have a remarkable standard of success. And it's a credit to the school. The coach he seems to be completely happy there, and seems to be he's an old style coach where he's going to stay at the same school for a long time. And I'll talk more about where he got that concept from before the end of the night.
Yeah, Randy Bennett thought certainly last year they should have been in. They were ranked as high as number 11 in the country last year. Did not get in.
Well, they win 30 games.
Yeah, they won 30 games, which you would think would be enough. They had some nice wins, and they beat Gonzaga last year in conference play.
Beat
That's
the
a
Aggies.
huge win.
Beat the Aggies.
Beat the Aggies by 18.
Yeah.
Right now, the Aggies are keeping Jordan Ford in check. He's attempted 4 shots. He's only made 1. AJ Harris guarding Ford in the near wing on the bottom side of your screen, but they left Kuzi alone, and Kuzi lays it in.
Well, you don't see that very often from a Chris Jans coach team where they just give up an uncontested layup. That'll get discussed in the film room tomorrow, I imagine.
CJ Bobbitt hands it off for AJ Harris. Pick and pop for Chua. Around the arc to Zamora. He's bumped by Fitz. Already 7 fouls on the Gaels, not even 10 minutes in, and usually don't see that with the Randy Bennett coach team.
No, and it's something that Chris Jans does very well as we see the uncontested layup. But he's both running a patterned offense, yet it's sort of slashing and freelancing at the same time, and it makes the Aggies very difficult to guard because of their tremendous overall quickness.
Bonus free throws here for JoJo Zamora, the transfer from Utah. The Aggies only 4 of 7 from the free throw line so far tonight. Only shooting 63% from the free throw line for the year. And they miss again, and Fitz pulls in the rebound for St. Mary's. Big matchup here for Harris. Ford with the basketball, averaging 29 per game. One of the best scorers so far this year around the country. Here's Kuzi. Ball screen from Hunter. Kuzi spins. Slings it outside for Fitz, who can shoot it from the arc. 5 to shoot for the Gaels. This is Dan Fotu, 2 to shoot for Fitz, and he drills the triple.
Wow, Malik Fitz sort of bails out the St. Mary's team there.
Shoots it well for a big man. 6'8", 230 pounds, really shoots the 3-ball well. Fotu pulls in the rebound. Here's Ford in transition. Harris all over him. Ford trying to get free, hands it off to Kuzi. Met by Chua on the baseline. Trying to bounce it outside for Hunter, stolen by Terrell Brown. Zamora looking down low for Chua. Wasn't there though. Here's Harris, ball screen from Chua. AJ thought about a 3. Under 10 to shoot for the Aggies. Brown to Harris. Harris, floater from the elbow.
Well,
15 feet away.
Yeah, tough shot by AJ Harris. And this is where the game has changed since I was coaching. There's just, and that's the Steph Curry effect in some ways. That's sort of the running one-handers that Zamora and Jordan Ford and AJ Harris put up. Those were sort of a no-no a couple decades ago, back in the old days, Adam.
That snapped a 3-minute field goal drought for the Aggies. Fitz off the mark. Here comes Harris. Aggies ahead by 1. Bobbitt down the lane. CJ Bobbitt had a good look. He just missed it. Rebound for Hunter. Here's Ford. Bullet pass out for Kuzi. Hunter, 6'10", 230, squaring up Archua. Spinning Archua. Good verticality by Chua, but Hunter scores anyway.
Boy, he gets bumped and still makes it. I'm not suggesting it was a foul, just great toughness by Jordan Hunter.
He's one of a couple guys with improved production this year for St. Mary's who didn't do much last year during their 30-win season. Hunter only averaged 3 a game last year. Harris, straightaway triple. Short. Zamora, the offensive rebound. Fresh 30 for the Aggies. Zamora, creative as usual. Can't connect. Tipped out by Fotu to Kuzi. Aggie bench applauding the defense there by Terrell Brown. Not giving Kuzi an angle. Ford wants a ball screen from Hunter. Harris all over him. AJ playing great defense on Ford, but then there's a breakdown and he finishes.
Boy, he's just crafty, Jordan Ford. Just great body control and a little bit unorthodox and can still make it go down, which is the way Zamora plays in a little bit different. Zamora, of course, not the point guard that Jordan Ford is.
Ford guarding Harris on this end. 8 to shoot for AJ. Stolen by Ford. Ford has a breakaway. Brown chasing him from behind. Scores around Bobbitt. And a timeout is called by Chris Jans. This turns into the media. Jordan Ford getting going. Averaging 29. He has 8, 4 in the previous minutes. St. Mary's ahead by a handful in Las Cruces. Adam Young and Coach Russ with you. It is a 6-0 run for St. Mary's to lead 23-18. And this is one of those programs, Coach, you blink and they take a 5-point lead on a 6-0 run.
Well, and also to St. Mary's, they're such a smart team that a 5-point lead is like a 10-point lead with any, to anybody else. And there's a big reason why. Jordan Ford. And we talked about Randy Bennett, in the media guide, it talks about his coaching tree, all these fellas that are under him, but I'd like to talk about his coaching roots. His father is one of the most highly regarded junior college coaches of all time, a man named Tom Bennett, who just won a ton of games at Mesa Junior College in Arizona, just really respected, really knew the game. Division I coaches came from all over the country to learn from Tom Bennett, who was a junior college coach.
Ivana Orekoechea, they're going to wave off the hoop. So this one is on Jordan Hunter, but it's on the ground, and the Aggies will have to inbound it. Well, actually, they're going to shoot because they're in the bonus, but it's going to be 1-1 because it was on the ground. So no continuation for Yvonne.
See, everything's a battle for ground with Yvonne. It's all turf. It's all the battle for turf. But to get back to Tom Bennett, Randy Bennett's father, many years at the same school, didn't interview, had chances to go to, plenty of chances to go to other places. And I think Randy Bennett has gotten that idea that, he's true to his school, which is a very old concept.
How about this? When Randy Bennett took over in 2001, he inherited a 2-2017. So this wasn't a powerhouse when he took over. It's been a powerhouse since he took over.
Although many years ago they were pretty good. They had Tom Meschery, who played a long time in the NBA with the Warriors, and is also probably the best basketball playing poet that ever lived.
Okay.
Tom Meschery. You have to take my word on that.
I'll take your word for it, Coach.
As an English teacher, Tom Meschery, the best poet basketball player in history.
Here's Joe Zamora back out for Harris. Only 2 to shoot. He has to heave. And he missed it short. Good box out there for freshman Matthias Toss. Ford and 1. Foul on A.J. Harris.
Well, I don't know what advice I'd give to A.J. Harris there, except he's going to have to pick him up sooner than that, because if he catches the ball at this close to, he's already at the 3-point line when he catches the ball on the run. And it did look like Jordan Ford initiated the contact a little bit, but
well, you have to wonder too, how come Jordan Ford only averaged 11 points per game last year, but St. Mary's had a couple of guys graduate that could really score it last year, including Jock Landale. So they had a lot of production around Jordan Ford, but at the end of last year, Jordan Ford was one of their go-to scorers, and that's carried over to this year.
That's right, he really came on at the end of the season.
26-18, a scoring drought of almost 4 minutes for the Aggies right now. Harris on the bench with 2. Buchanan's in for him. Here is Buchanan. 4 to shoot for Sean Buchanan. Pull-up jumper. He knocks it in. Buchanan had a really good shooting game against UTEP on Friday.
That's right, and nothing is easy tonight for either team. There's hardly an easy shot that's going to go up because both teams play terrific defense. And that was no easy shot for Sean Buchanan, is my point.
Buchanan guarding Ford. Ford angles in the lane. Missed it short. Wanted a foul. No foul called. Orekoechea feeds it off for Bobbitt as he falls out of bounds. Yvonne's the trailer. Back to Buchanan. Zamora for 3. Great hustle there for Sean Buchanan right in front of us.
No, but that seemed like the right call. He had his hand on the line. I don't know if our crack Aggie Vision guys caught that, but Buchanan made a great dive for it, but he had his hand on the line when he touched the ball. Let's watch here. That was right in front of me here. I miss a lot of calls, Adam, but I think I got that. I see his hands on the line and he's got the ball. So that was the right call by Mike Cyphers, the veteran official.
Chris Jans wasn't happy. I'm not sure if he wanted a foul called on Ford or if he thought it was out of bounds on Ford.
Oh, that could be.
Chris Jans still unhappy with Mike Cyphers from the opposite side of the floor. Four and change left. Matthias Toss hands it off for Kuzi. Kuzi for Thomas. That's a tough shot. Loose, picked up by Clayton Henry, who's been playing offensively so far tonight. Here's Buchanan. Head of the key for Keon Jones, guarded by Fotu. The Aggies using a lot of shot clock on every possession. Left hand hook for Aore Coachea. Rebound for Dan Fotu. No look pass by Kuzi. Point blank miss by Matthias Toss. Here's Henry. Reaching on Ford. And that's going to be his first.
What does my heart good, Adam, to hear you say no look pass by Kuzi. It's kind of a throwback. Well, our older fans would remember that phrase.
Not Bob Kuzi tonight, it's Tommy Kuzi for St. Mary's. Gaels up a half dozen. St. Mary's in town here at the Pan Am Center tonight. It's a big week for the Aggies. They're going to play UNM in Albuquerque on Saturday, hosting St. Mary's tonight. And earlier this week, Aggie head coach Chris Jans talked about the opportunity for NM State this week.
We're going to learn a lot about team this week in terms of how can we get them to understand the importance of the details in scouting and preparation for a team like this, because if we're going to win the game, it's probably going to come down to a possession or two, and to get them to be on the same page all week long and have great focus both in the film room and on the court leading up to the game will somewhat determine the outcome of the game. But we're going to learn a lot. We're going to know where we're at. This is a great barometer, and then we're going to wake up Thursday morning and have to do it all over again.
Well, NM State was averaging 84.5 points per game in their first two games. They scored 53 in half two on Friday against UTEP. But what has this St. Mary's defense done, Coach Bradber, to slow down the Aggie offense so far tonight? This is a scoring drought of almost 3 minutes.
Well, that's right. That's precisely the issue, is the St. Mary's terrific team defense. Just there's no easy shots, there's no gimmies, and New Mexico State may be as quick a team as there is in the country, but through a great help side defense and keeping on the ground and that kind of thing, St. Mary's is able to limit them.
And the Aggies continue to really struggle too from the charity line. That's been an issue for the last year plus. Now the good news is the Aggie defense has been as good as usual. St. Mary's averaging almost 90 points per game. They only have 26. 3 minutes left. Deep three for Ford. He has that range, and he connects.
That was a four-pointer there. You talk about the Steph Curry influence. That was well off. That was easily an NBA three-pointer.
Ford has 14 on 5 of 10 shooting. Biggest lead for St. Mary's. A.J. Harris, the Aggie point guard, on the bench with 2 personals. Henry to the baseline, dumps it off for Ivana Coachea.
He's already a fan favorite. He seems to make eye contact with the fans when he does something good, like right there, or right there.
Ivan alters the shot of Ford. The Aggies trying to turn defense into offense. Let's see if they go inside of the big fella. They do. Working on the freshman toss. Aure Coachea going to work. Fakes left. Stripped away by Ford. Took too long. Ford, no numbers. Trailer is Kuzi, who can shoot. And Kuzi swishes in the 3.
But a little too much time for the Aggies gave Tommy Kuzi there, the Phoenix native. Well, Mesa, Arizona, to be precise.
Ball screen, Yvonne. Down the lane is Jones. Maneuvers, can't finish. Pulled in by Malik Fitz. St. Mary's 3 of 7 from 3. The Aggies have missed all 6 3-point attempts. Watch out for Ford right here. If he gets an opening, he'll shoot it. Out of the key, Fitz. Isolated set with Henry. Tipped out and grabbed by Keon Jones. About a 16-second difference, game clock, shot clock. Clayton Henry has yet to attempt a field goal. He scored 14 on Friday. Here's Henry. First field goal attempt and it rims out.
Well, nice look by Sean Buchanan, but to no avail.
Jordan Ford looks back to his head coach, Randy Bennett. They'll try to get the final shot here. Biggest lead for St. Mary's right here. Ford has 14. Brown has time across midcourt with 2 seconds. Feeds it to Jones. He doesn't know it. Keon was shocked as he looked up to the clock, noticed it was out. Terrell Brown passed it for him, double clutched, and was trying to find a better look. Strong finish to half one for St. Mary's and head coach Randy Bennett. The Aggies did not score in the final 2 minutes and 19 seconds, and Jordan Ford has 14 to lead all scorers. St. Mary's 32, NM State 23. Halftime comes your way next. Well, it's a good crowd tonight here at the P&M Center. NM State has been dominant here on top of Lou Henson Court over the years. The Aggies only had 1 home loss last year, only 1 home loss 2 years ago. But they trail at halftime here at home, which is rare. It is a 32-23 lead for the Gaels out of Moraga, California. Aggie men's basketball season tickets are on sale now. Purchase at the P&M Center ticket office or call 575-646-1420. Season tickets start at $210. Well, Coach, neither team has shot it great, really, for St. Mary's standards. 48% is not great for them. They shoot 56% for the season. Led the country in field goal percentage last year, but both teams have been really good defensively, and the Aggies have rebounded well again.
That's right, and I wonder when the last time the Aggies did not have a three-point basket at halftime. What's kept them fairly close for the Aggies is they've out-rebounded St. Mary's. They've out-rebounded them by 3. But it's going to be an uphill battle here. This is a stingy, smart St. Mary's team.
And the Aggies have not had the jolts off the bench that they are used to. Ivan Aore-Coachea has been good. 8 points and 4 rebounds for Ivan. Jordan Ford, who averages 29 per game, has 14 to pay St. Mary's. But the staple for the Aggies so far in the first 2 games has been a lot of production off the bench, and we really haven't seen that so far tonight.
No, that's right. And you know, my bright idea was the Aggies needed to get the ball to Chua early, and they did for the first minute or 2. And he was pretty much a no-show in the second half as we see Tommy Nunez, the veteran official.
Aggies with some foul issues. Same goes for the Gaels. For St. Mary's, 2 personals on Krebs, 2 on Hunter. And for the Aggies, A.J. Harris only played half of the first half because of his 2 fouls. And he has a really tough assignment as we start half 2. Harris guarding Ford here on the near side of your screen. Slipping was Fitz, working on C.J. Bobbitt with his left hand. Strong finish there for the South Florida transfer.
Boy, and the entire bench jumped up with their left hand. Maybe Malik Fitz doesn't use his left hand. Well, there he is, stole it with his left hand.
Fitz working on Bobbitt, glides in and finishes. And Chris Jans looks stunned on the Aggie bench.
Well, it's the stunned, irritated look, I would say. But yeah, not a great start for the Aggies in the second half.
Let's see if the Aggies can find some sort of rhythm here in half two offensively. A very low scoring first half for them, just 23. They've used a lot of shot clock tonight. Harris, left hand scoop rims in for AJ. Well, he's been productive. He has 6 points in only 11 minutes, which is right at his season average of 6. Needs to make sure he doesn't foul here. He already has 2 personals. Ford gets by him. Kick out for Elijah Thomas, and he buries the triple.
Well, that's the thing with this St. Mary's group. They've played some of the best teams in the country, and they're not. A lot of teams come into the Pan Am Center and are intimidated, but that is not the case tonight.
Harris saves it right to Ford. Why not? He's everywhere. Ford runs the break, 3-on-2. He'll take it himself. Crafty finish for Jordan Ford.
But there's no way that was going to go in, but just with sort of the spin and the English on the ball, I thought he was going to throw it to the open man in the corner. But you might as well take the layup, I suppose.
Christian's irate. He calls a timeout. We'll take it with them. This is Amedia. Lead is 16 for St. Mary's. The Aggies and Gaels meeting for the 2nd straight season. Gaels won by 18 last year. They lead by 16, 2 minutes into half two. Great start to half two for the Gaels from St. Mary's out of the West Coast Conference. 11 straight postseason appearances for Randy Bennett's program. And Chris Drian's trying to get things figured out there in the Aggie huddle. The Aggies have not played a close game so far this year. The Aggies beat North Dakota State in their season opener. Then they beat UTEP by 27 on Friday. The Gaels haven't played a close one either. As you see, their first 2 games, McNeese State and then Utah Valley out of the WAC. And this is danger zone here, Coach, for the Aggies as St. Mary's tries to pull away on the road.
Well, that's right. And because of the remarkable control that St. Mary's plays with, it's not going to be an easy comeback. They're not going to do anything crazy when you've got Jordan Ford leading the team. They're not susceptible to a quick comeback, I'm afraid. And so that one of the dangers now is that the Aggies will try and get it all back in 1 or 2 possessions, and it's going to be a long haul if they're going to do it. And so shots like that, in particular, the quick 3 that aren't completely wide open are not going to change the tide for the Aggies.
NM State has not made a 3 yet tonight. They're 0 of 8 from bonus distance. Here's a 3 for Fitz. He can't connect. Offensive rebound, though, for Hunter. And a foul is called to the Aggies, and it looks like it's our JoJo Zamora. Yeah, it's our JoJo, his first, team's first as well. St. Mary's is big, even without Aaron Menzies, who's still out with an injury. He's a 7'3" transfer from Seattle. Ford again. He has 18. I think I know the answer, Coach, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Has he been as good as advertised?
Well, I saw Tennessee Owens, the Aggies walk-on campus today, and he told me that he's big time. That he thought that he was as good a guard as they were going to face this year. Tennessee Owens, the walk-on, whose father was the Lakers assistant coach for a couple years. And I think he is as good as advertised, or maybe better.
NM State now 0 of 9 from 3. Fitz posting up on Rice. Goes to work on Jabari. Offensive rebound again by Jordan Hunter. Ford with the head fake. Lost the handle, gets it back, and he's going to shoot a 3 from the corner. Offensive putback, no good for Elijah Thomas.
Well, that was a huge break for the Aggies. Elijah Thomas just couldn't get the easy one to go down. And the Aggies are going to need some breaks if they're going to make a run.
Mid-post extended Chua, working on Hunter. And a foul is called on Jordan Hunter on the ground. No shot for Eli.
So this is precisely what I'd like to see happen, is for them to go inside to Chua and Chua to go to work a little bit. I think they're going to have a hard time controlling him. But it's going to be a matter of Chua stepping up, and now Chua's coming out of the game. And not that the big Spaniard couldn't do the same thing, not that Ivan couldn't do the same thing, but I think that's going to be the key. Ivan played as well as any Aggie in the first half. AJ Harris will trigger in. Mohamed Cham is in for the first time today.
Transfer from Marshalltown Community College. Here's Chom on the wing. Hand off to Jabari Rice. Rolling is Aure Coachea. They had him. Rice will take it anyway, and he scoops it through.
Pretty good body control by Jabari Rice, the freshman.
43-27 as we approach the 16-minute mark. Moving screen on Jordan Hunter.
Well, the crowd has come to life a little bit here, but the Aggies are still down 16 with 16 minutes to go.
We'll take a timeout. 4 minutes in, half two. St. Mary's 43, NM State 27. A pair of undefeated teams tonight in Las Cruces. Adam Young and former NM State assistant coach Russ Bradford along with you tonight from the Pan American Center in Las Cruces. St. Mary's leading NM State 43-27. This was one of those games, Coach, that the Aggies had marked on their calendar for a while once the schedule got released. They trail by 16. We'll see if they can chip away, but this is a good barometer game to see where the Aggies are here in early November.
I think that's right. There's no way the Aggies would overlook St. Mary's, a team that wins 30 games and has beaten the Aggies a few times in the last few years. I wonder if the Aggies were looking forward to New Mexico this weekend, but boy, they've dug themselves into a hole here.
Yeah, this is a huge week for the Aggies. St. Mary's will head to Vegas for a game on Monday against Utah State in the MGM Resorts Classic. The Aggies will head to Albuquerque on Friday for a Saturday afternoon game with their big rivals up north, UNF. Aggies going with Chom, Aure Coachea, Harris, Brown, and Rice out of the timeout. Aure Coachea has been the best Aggie offensively today. Skips it back out for Harris. There's a good look for Terrell Brown. And the Aggies can't buy a bucket from the arc. Brown pokes it away from Ford in transition. Well done.
Great hustle by Terrell Brown.
All the way to the rim. And one for Terrell Brown.
Well, and the crowd really came to life there. Maybe this is the break the Aggies need to get the tide turned here. Look at this hustle by Terrell Brown. And then takes it the entire length of the floor the other way. That's quite an effort by Terrell Brown.
Aggies trying to pick up the pressure. Harris meets Ford, who has 18 on 7 of 15 shooting. Krebs has been quiet tonight. He's been in foul trouble. He averages 10.5 per game. Krebs has it here on the wing. The Australian, 6'6" guard, skips it out for Fotu. That's a charge. Terrell Brown drew it.
Well, and the place has gotten loud in a hurry here.
Check that. It was actually Jabari Rice who drew the charge. Brown was guarding Krebs.
And it was a risky move by Jabari because his man was in the corner.
Harris back to Brown. Rolling is Aure Coachea. Rice for three. Mohamed Chom the offensive rebound.
And suddenly the Aggies are in control of the boards and the tempo. And
blocking foul on Kuzi. First on Kuzi, fifth on St. Mary's. No foul shots though for Brown. They call this one on the ground. Harris triggering in. Kuzi whistled for another. He's trying to guard Terrell Brown here in this scenario and held him. By the way, Tanner Krebs is back on the bench for the Gaels with 3 personals. Hunter has 4. He's on the bench as well. Aure Coachea with the reversal.
And Terrell Brown made that one happen too. Terrell Brown with a big smile and enthusiasm, and everyone is on their feet here at him. I'm going to have to shout to be heard here.
Here's Ford for three. Aggies trying to trim the deficit to single digits. Rice had Aore Coachea, didn't use him. Back out for Brown. 6 minutes in, half two, plenty of time left. Brown to Harris for three.
But here comes Ford.
Kuzi away from the ball screen, back out for toss. The freshman fires from three and he nails it.
Well,
that's 6'10", 240.
Well, remember, this is what was exposed against North Dakota State, is the Aggies couldn't quite get out on the three-point shooting postman. And that's going to be an issue that might be an issue this year.
That was the first attempted three collegiately for Toss. Rebound for Fotu off the Harris miss. Toss handles the exchange from Ford. Good low positioning on Aore Coachea. 5 in a row for the freshman from Estonia. Here's Jabari Rice, and one for the freshman out of Dallas.
Well, they looked a little out of sync there, but Jabari Rice was able to turn that into a basket.
Coach, I think there was a question going into the year how much Jabari Rice would play as a redshirt freshman, and it seems like he's forcing Chris Jans to play him more and more.
Well, what a talent he is. He looks like he's about 12 years old, which I'm making that statement as a compliment. I think as a recruiter, I would have looked at him and said, boy, he's going to, when he physically matures, he's going to be a heck of a player, and I think that's what the coaches are gambling on.
JoJo Zamora has been on the Aggie bench for a while. Chris Jans going with his combination right here. Buchanan, Sean Brown, Rice, and Shua. Kuzi, strip-eyed Shua. It's loose. Chom picks it up. Look at a jump ball. Possession arrow points the way of the Aggies. The energy in this building is great.
No, and a few minutes ago, Terrell Brown, who we see there, he took a shot that I sort of questioned, but I get the concept. I think he knows he's got to jumpstart the Aggies here, and if he's got to do it himself a little bit, not out of selfishness, but just trying to light a spark under the Aggies.
And you get the feeling, too, if the Aggies can find a way to go on a run here offensively, this place could really get rocking.
That's right.
It's been loud, and they trail by 13.
But the problem will be there will be no easy shots from here on in against St. Mary's.
There's a good look for Chua. Misses point blank. Sticks it up, and he sticks it in. Here's Fitz, hands it off to Kuzi. Toss swings it for Fotu. Low post extended for Fitz. He tells everybody to clear out. He's going to work on Chab. And that foul is defensive on the junior Mohammed Chab.
Well, and of course, this is the question is how much they double team Fitz to get him to throw the ball out. And the danger is when it's Tommy Coos and Jordan Ford, you could be giving up a three to a great shooter.
Ford fakes the pass. Finger roll is good. Pretty for Jordan Ford.
Boy, it's a pretty good Steph Curry imitation, I have to admit.
Yeah, you hate to compare him to Steph Curry because Steph Curry is one of the best players in the world, but you see there's a lot of similarities in the two guys' game. Terrell Brown down the lane, blocked away by Toss. No call. Pushing is Ford. Need to pick him up in transition. Toss for three again. This one short. Brown the rebound.
Well, the Aggie big men are going to have to work harder to get on those shooters. That was Sean Buchanan guarding both guys out there.
Lead for St. Mary's has been as many as 18. Right now it's only 13. The Aggies trying to get even closer. Cham for three. Bingo!
Boy, he looked like a pro there. Aggies cut it to 10 with 11 minutes to go.
First made three for the Aggies all night. Ford splits defenders down the lane. High arcing floater, no good. In the hands of Mohammed Cham. That was a Steph Curry floater right there.
Boy, the Aggies got a huge break there not to give up a basket.
Buchanan bounces for Chua, and Eli's going to shoot two when we come back for break. Finally a made three. NM State 1 of 13 on trays. Mohammed Cham drills one, and it's a 10-point ball game at Lou Henson Courts. Well, Coach, we'll see if the Aggies have a run in them. It's a 10-point game right now, and it was 18 not too long ago.
Adam, it's not the kind of paced game where the Aggies are going to be exhausted, and they're deep enough. I don't think they've blown their chances through exhaustion. And to my mind, the big key has been Terrell Brown and Jabari Rice. Just the great hustle and effort. They're new players, but they're incredibly enthusiastic, and they've been the driving force behind the Aggie comeback here. Unfortunately, St. Mary still has Randy Bennett.
Very true. The all-time wins leader at St. Mary's, and it's not even close. In his 18th year as the head coach of the Gaels, and the Aggies hit a free throw. They've really struggled from the line again. They are now 8 of 14 on free throws, just 63% for the year. Those are big. 8-point game. NM State only has one player in double figures. That's Aure Coachea right there, who has 10. Yvonne's on the bench. The Aggies going with Zamora, Buchanan, Cham, Chua, and Brown. Buchanan guarding Ford. Here's Thomas. Guarded by Zamora. 10 to shoot for Elijah Thomas. Had to travel, no call though. Ford to toss. The freshman has been busy in this half. Rebound for Terrell Brown. The Aggies trying to make this a two-possession game. Mohammed Cham did not play in half one, playing some big minutes in half two. Zamora for Buchanan. Fakes the handoff to Brown. 6 to shoot for Buchanan. Corner three, Cham. Rims out. And a foul is called on Chua away from the ball as he was trying to fight for the rebound with Krebs.
Well, Tommy Nunez had a better angle than I did. That looked like it could have gone either way. We'll take a peek here. Well, I don't know if it was enough contact to be, but he had a better angle than I did. And he's got more experience and he's smarter.
Yeah, that's a big call right there, too, because Krebs has 3. So that would have been out of Krebs. It would have been his 4th. Nobody really in foul trouble for the Aggies. Hunter has 4. He's in right now for St. Mary's. 3 for Fitz. And that'll silence the crowd here at the Pan Am Center.
Yeah, Aggies gambled there on Jordan Ford had almost lost the ball, and the Aggies gambled there, and St. Mary's made him pay.
Lead back to double figures for the Gaels. The 4th best winning percentage in the country the previous 3 years for St. Mary's. Thomas grabs the rebound for the Gaels. 30 wins last year, 29 wins 2 years ago, 29 wins 3 years ago. Ford. Fouled by Buchanan with 8:33 left in the game.
And Mohammed
Coach,
Cham.
It seems like every time the Aggies go on a little bit of a run, St. Mary's has an answer.
Yes, that is precisely the problem. But all joking aside, yes, they're a tough, tough, smart, well-coached team, and they're not gonna beat themselves. And as we see Chris Jans going for, just trying to continue to shake things up with different combinations.
Five straight for St. Mary's. It was an 8-point lead. Now it is 13 again. Jabari Rice down low for Chua. Good angle there for Eli Chua. This is really bunched up scoring again tonight for the Aggies. 10 for Aore Coachea, 8 for Harris, 7 for Chua, 5 each for Brown and Rice. 108 left in half two. Chua on the exchange for Rice. Brown gets a ball screen from Chua. And Terrell Brown will shoot free throws. Lead is 11 for St. Mary's. They have led by as many as 18. They led by 9 at halftime, 55-44. And M State trying to stay undefeated. St. Mary's has other plans. Gaels by 11. Brown free throws when we come back. Final game for the Aggies during this three-game homestand to begin the season. NM State trails St. Mary's 55-44. 7th all-time meeting between the Aggies and the Gaels. St. Mary's 5-1 all-time against the Aggies. And here's some more info on the Gaels of St. Mary's College. Out of Moraga, California, we were mentioning earlier Patty Mills, coach, and we mentioned Matthew Dellavedova as well, a couple of alums of the St. Mary's program. That Australian connection for head coach Randy Bennett has gone back quite some time, really since he started.
That's right. And again, with 10 international players on the roster, but a few California kids, a couple Arizona kids, and it's been a winning combination for Randy Bennett.
10 of the 15 players for St. Mary's are from outside of the U.S. 5 of those 15 are from Australia. And Randy Bennett has had at least one Australian in every season since his arrival. That's pretty impressive.
It's a lot of flight miles, though.
That is.
You know, it's a 14-hour flight or something crazy like that.
And M State now 10 of 16 from the free throw line. St. Mary's 5 of 5 from the charity line tonight. Second one for Terrell Brown. And he connects on both. Jordan Ford has 22, 14 in the first half, 8 in this half. He's attempted 18 shots, 8 of 18. Here's Fitz. Fitz has 14 for the Gaels, running Ford off screens. Harris trying to make sure he doesn't catch it. Ford has it in his hands. Ball screen from Toss. Pull-up jumper Ford. Over the back on the freshman, Matthias Toss. Over the back of Aore Coachea.
And Aore Coachea just really, like always, working hard. I think got banged in the finger or the chin. I don't know, but he's
tough.
He's a tough guy, yeah. But I don't know if I've ever seen a big man work for position the way this guy works. I mean, he's just relentless, and he helps out on defense. He just really works, tries to be active.
Aggies now in the double bonus, so Aore Coachea is going to shoot 2. And he has shot it well for the free throw line so far this year. 5 of 7 now for Yvonne. Good looking stroke. Lead down to 7. And this is as close as the Aggies have been in quite some time. It's a 3-possession game.
And everybody's on their feet.
Thomas fires a 3. And 1 from 3 for Thomas.
Well, and a freshman mistake by Jabari. Just bumped into a guy a long way from the three-point line. Boy, tough break for Jabari.
And that's going to stay with St. Mary's. So this could be a huge possession for the Gaels at a time when the Aggies really need some stops.
Yeah, big turnaround there. The Aggies had a chance to cut it to 4 or 5. And now instead St. Mary's can put it back up to 12 or 13.
Fitz with 14 points, 5 rebounds, right at his season average of 14. Ford back to Fitz. Gaels using some clock here on this possession. Inside outside for Fitz. Spins on Bobbitt, lost it. And this will go to the Aggies.
Well, Aggies got a break there in that could have been a huge turnaround, but the Aggies get the ball back. Yeah, that was the right call. I think the Estonian hit it last.
Brown overthrew Aore Coachea.
Well, that was Terrell Brown's first real mistake of the night. He's been a huge spark for the Aggies today.
Led him a little too far. Neither team has had very many turnovers, only 6 now on the Aggies, only 7 on the Gaels. Thomas looking for some help. And Jabari Rice is whistled for the foul. That's going to be number 6 on the Aggies, so still 1 away from the bonus for St. Mary's.
Well, Elijah Thomas he's a difficult matchup because we just saw him shoot a 3. He's a little bit unorthodox.
They're going to say this is a shooting foul, though, so Thomas will shoot 2. They give him continuation. Young man out of Peoria, Arizona, redshirt sophomore, 6'5", 220. Averaging 8 points per game. Who do you run your offense through right here, Coach, if you're the Aggies?
Well, I think they do better when they go inside, and it'll come from a pick and roll if it happens. But it seems like Orocochea and Eli Chua have been effective down low in scoring when the Aggies can get them the ball, like here.
There's Ivana Ore-Coachea. C.J. Bobbitt, put back no good. And then Fitz throws it off of Bobbitt as he was falling out of bounds. Chris Jans unhappy.
I thought it hit Elijah Thomas when he was out of bounds, when it landed on Elijah when he was out of bounds. Let's take a look. We'll take a look here. Well, we can't quite. That's hard to tell. That may be the first time the Aggie Visions crew has missed. Let's see it. I think it hit his foot.
Yeah.
Didn't it?
I think, too, when he had control of it, there's a chance his toes were on the line. Hard to tell, though, from our angle over here. Foul is called on Terrell Brown. And this will put the Gaels in the bonus on the 7th foul of the Aggies in this half.
Well, and Terrell Brown's been great all night. I don't know if he needs to be fouling Tanner Krebs that far from the basket.
Yeah, I didn't see a whole lot there from Terrell, did you?
No, it's three times. Three times Krebs hits.
Okay, right there.
Yeah, but three times Krebs, but it's always the sort of the retaliation that gets it. But Tanner Krebs seemed to be shoving him off on three different occasions. And I'd want to shove Terrell Brown off too. He hounds people on defense.
Those are the first 2 points for Tanner Krebs in this game after averaging 10.5 in the first 2. Krebs hasn't played much because of foul issues. Harris misses the pull-up. And this one's going to go to the Gaels. This game is getting more and more physical as the game goes on.
Yeah, and Aggie's ability to battle on the boards has sort of kept them in. They're even on the boards pretty much with St. Mary's, and that's kept them reasonably close.
All right, Aggie fans, you know what to do.
Kuzi running the point for St. Mary's. Ford's playing off the ball here. 6-0 run for the Gaels over the last 2 minutes. Ten to shoot. Kuzi to toss for Thomas. And he's off the mark. Chop can't catch it. Thomas streaks in. Blocked away by Mohammed Shah.
Well, that's traveling.
Fitz lost the handle. We'll get a jump ball. And possession stays with St. Mary's.
Well, Malik Fitz gave great hustle there, but he traveled, and I'm not sure why that wasn't called.
They're going to call a foul on St. Mary's, so they will not call a jump ball. They're going to call a foul on St. Mary's here. It's going to be on Fitz. As you can see on the end of this play, he was kind of hovered over Mohammed Sham, so a foul was called, no jump ball.
Yeah, you can't dive on a
break
foul's
for the
back.
Aggies.
But great effort by both teams.
Sham's going to shoot two. The Aggies in the double bonus.
Well, they're not going to be able to miss many free throws and stay in the game here.
Lead is 12 for St. Mary's. Feels a little closer than that, though. It really does. The Aggies have kind of been hanging around the entire half. St. Mary's was trying to pull away early. They led by as many as 18 early on in this half. The Aggies have pulled it to 7. They have some work to do here in the final 4 minutes and change. Kuzi. Ford swings it for Thomas. Traveling on Elijah Thomas.
And that was the first time the Aggies have been in the zone, I think, and it seemed to confuse St. Mary's just a little bit, and maybe that's what Chris Jans is hoping for, is just to shake things up again. Although Elijah Thomas has been very good. He traveled there, but he's had a terrific night.
Harris finds an angle, flips it in with the right hand. The Aggies showing some token pressure. Gaels break it, and they reset with Ford. The Aggies in a zone defense here, Coach.
Yep. Let's see how St. Mary's reacts to this. We haven't seen the Aggies in a zone all year.
Extra pass for Fitz for the corner, and he gets the three. Once again, the Aggies drawing closer, and the Gaels connect from bonus distance.
Yeah, that stings, that one there.
Harris will try to answer. He got it.
Well, they're going to hover around here, but the Aggies they'll need to get a stop. There's enough possessions that they could do it, but they're going to need to get some stops.
NM State just 2 of 16 on trays. Harris in double figures with 13 to lead all Aggies. Thomas from the corner. Offensive rebound for Toss, the freshman. He's been great tonight. Toss has had to play a bunch. Hunter, who fouled out earlier, only played 14 minutes. He was in foul trouble the entire game. So Toss has had big minutes off the bench for the Gaels. Ford runs the shot clock down to 6. Deep three for Fitz. And the Aggies will have it with 2:17 left in half two. Well, the Aggies within striking distance as Randy Bennett's Gaels try to pull away. Chris Jansen, the Aggies showing some fight. They trail by 10, 64-54. Final 2:16 in a moment. Final game of a 3-game homestand to start this season for NM State. St. Mary's playing their first road game. 64-54 is our score, final 2:16. In half number 2, the Aggies will head on the road for the first time this weekend at UNM Saturday, a big game in the pit. And the Aggies will host Eastern New Mexico and then travel down the road to El Paso to play at UTEP. Meanwhile, for St. Mary's, they're going to play Utah State in Vegas at the MGM Resorts Classic at the T-Mobile Arena. Very good Harvard team shortly as well next week for St. Mary's. That could be a really good matchup as well. Harvard, coached by Tommy Amaker, always very good at the mid-major level, and St. Mary's will be tested then as well.
That's right, and the Aggies go to the pit on Saturday. We hadn't talked about that. I wonder, I can't imagine that they'd overlook St. Mary's, a team that would have won 30 games last year, but it's, that's part of the problem with that Chris Jan's playing a really tough schedule. There's no letting up.
UNM 2-0 after beating Iona last night in the pit. Big possession here. Final 2 minutes. The Aggies down 10 on offense. Rice to a slipping Aore Coachea, slips off the rim, and it's grabbed by Krebs for St. Mary's. That's the look they wanted out of the timeout. Harris all over Ford. Remember, no longer a 5-second call. That was a rule enforced a couple of years ago that was changed. No longer a 5-second call when you get up close defensively. Ford from long range again. High rebound for Terrell Brown. Harris thought about a 3, gets in the lane, reversal good. 8-point game, timeout Chris Jans.
Well, stranger things have happened. 8 points with a minute 22 is not at all insurmountable.
Well, a big difference here today has been 3-point shooting. NM State 2 of 16 from 3. St. Mary's has shot it well, though, from 3 on the road. 8 of 21 from 3 for St. Mary's. Now, Jordan Ford is only 1 of 7 from bonus distance, but it's been some other guys like Thomas and Fitz. Heck, even Toss hit one earlier, and St. Mary's has really used the arc to their advantage here tonight.
Well, and I think it was Elijah Thomas with sort of the big turnaround, a crucial moment with the 7-minute mark where Elijah Thomas made a 3 and got fouled, and they got the ball back. But to my mind, Elijah Thomas and Malik Fitz were huge at staving off the Aggie rally. Here's full court pressure by the Aggies. Looks like man-to-man full court pressure with the Aggies. Nope. Let's see, wait. Let's tour the tell. Might be zone pressure.
80 seconds left. The Aggies trying to trap Kuzi. Kuzi. Tip by Harris. It will stay with St. Mary's. Great pressure there from A.J. Harris at midcourt. And I think they're going to check to make sure it was touched by A.J. Harris last, which in our live look, it sure seemed like it was. But here in the final 2 minutes, they'll double check that just to make sure, and we'll get our second look here. I guess there's a chance it touched Ford after it touched Harris.
Pretty good camera work by that Aggie Vision crew, as usual. It's hard to tell from this angle. Why don't we just ask Jordan Ford and just ask him to tell us the truth?
Well, the thing is, too, in this scenario, you need enough evidence to overturn the call. The call on the floor is St. Mary's basketball, so I just don't see enough there to show that Ford touched it.
Not on that one, no.
But they will review it. This is, of course, a big call in this game. It's 64-56. It's a totally different scenario if it's Aggie ball here. Kevin Brill, Mike Cyphers, and Tommy Nunez are 3 officials.
It'd be hard for the Aggies to complain about the officiating. They've shot 10 more free throws than St. Mary's.
Yeah, there's a chance too, Coach. They're just checking the shot clock in this scenario as well. I saw Tommy Nunez pointing to the shot clock.
And unfortunately, I don't think there's anybody on the St. Mary's team that the Aggies can just foul and expect them to miss. I think they've got 5 good free throwers in the game.
So it's St. Mary's ball, 22 on the shot clock, nearly a steal again. The Aggies don't want to foul Ford, but they have to. The bench was screaming foul Kuzi, not Ford. But Ford, who's the best free throw shooter on this St. Mary's team, is the one who's going to shoot one of the bonus.
And I think the Aggies were hoping for a travel there, but it's going to be tough when this young man steps to the free throw line with just a minute to go. Aggies within 8, but they're going to need a break here.
Bonus free throws for Ford, who has 22. And he's pretty much automatic for the free throw line. He's 6 of 6 today, so he is now 19 of 20 for the year.
And Chris Jan's going with a much smaller lineup, and everybody can shoot a three-pointer, which might be the strategy here in a second.
10-point lead for the Gaels. Quick three for Harris. Shallow, Krebs the rebound. And Cham will foul Ford immediately.
Well,
you knew going into this one, Coach, it was going to take a really, really good effort. Probably didn't have to be perfect, but a really good effort for the Aggies to find a way to win this one here at home against a St. Mary's program that is usually one of the best in the country at the mid-major level.
Yeah, you don't win 30 games every year by not being a great program. But on the positive side, I think the Aggies have been exposed a few weaknesses that are going to have to be worked on, and a few things that they'll go back to the drawing board. I imagine it'll be a long film session tomorrow. And so there's that fine line between how much do we dwell on St. Mary's and how much do we talk about the Lobos.
And I think in some ways, too, this game could be an eye-opening game for the Aggies. You win 2 games in convincing fashion to start this season, then you have a game like this. I don't think it's like the Texas Tech scrimmage last year when the Aggies got blown out and all of a sudden they had a come-to-Jesus moment, but certainly this is going to be an eye-opener, as you don't lose on this floor very often, and the Aggies are going to fall tonight.
I think that seems to be where we're headed. It's 12 points with 54 seconds to go. Now, don't forget, the greatest comeback in Aggie history, maybe one of the greatest ones, was Aggies down 11 at UTEP with 70 seconds to go and won the game. And so here they are at home here, so it's not. It wouldn't be impossible, but the problem is I don't think St. Mary's is going to beat themselves, and I think that's Chris Jan's uphill battle here, is that St. Mary's just doesn't make many mistakes.
Need to find a way to keep the ball out of the hands of Ford, and it's going to be Ford again. The Aggies don't want to foul him, and they finally do. Buchanan was trying to poke it away. Ford was getting bumped on his way up the floor. Randy Bennett wanted to foul sooner. And these are going to be 2 shots the rest of the way for the Gaels, so 2 shots for Ford, who is 9-9 in the game. And he's going to get right around his season average. There's point number 27 for the junior out of Folsom, California. Only averaged 11 a game last year. Harris will scoop it up in midcourt. AJ works his way in the lane. Finger roll no good. We'll see if the Aggies stop fouling Ford. They will. About a 14-second difference, game clock, shot clock. St. Mary's is going to leave with a really big road win. They were snubbed last year in the end in March by the selection committee. This is a win for them that could really help them in March if they don't get the automatic bid out of the WCC.
Well, I think that's right. It's a great road win for, although there's been years where they have great road wins and still don't make the NCAA tournament.
Fitz, good night for him. He had 17. 3 is no good. Rebound for Krebs. And St. Mary's will lead with a 15-point victory. First home loss this year for the Aggies. Only 1 home loss last year, just 1 home loss 2 years.